Welcome back. Right now, the White House reportedly weighing a complex plan to snatch enriched uranium from Iran's nuclear sites, eyeing the mysterious Pickaxe Mountain, a deep fortress the terror regime believes cannot be destroyed and has never been visited, never, by inspectors. Let's take a closer look at the key nuke capabilities still in place. Okay, so this is Pickaxe Mountain. It's called Pickaxe Mountain because literally the translation of the mountain in Persian is pickaxe. It is a facility that is right next to Natanz. You'll remember Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan were the sites that were struck back during Operation Midnight Hammer last summer, but we did not hit Pickaxe Mountain. So why are they talking about it now? Well, because satellite imagery showed construction along the road continued around this. You can see Pickaxe Mountain is about a mile from, but possibly adjacent by tunnel to Natanz, and it suggests that Iran is trying to reconstitute their nuclear program. But here's what's really interesting. So here's why it's difficult to hit. That's what I care most about, because it's considered to be 300 to 450 feet underground, reinforced. Back during Operation Midnight Hammer, we had the GBU-57, our 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator bombs that were dropped from B-2s that flew in stealth from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. They dropped it. They could only hit 200. And experts say that even if you dropped multiple GB-57s sequentially on top of each other, even though they go 200, you couldn't keep going down. And that suggests that we possibly might have to use special forces to get into a facility that inspectors have never been to. So with that, let's bring in Fox News contributor and former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman. Dan, I tried to lay it out. You understand better than I. When we hear that there is possibly something coming, do you believe that we could get to what's in Pickaxe Mountain with just bombs, or could it need special forces?
Well, Griff, I think it starts with intelligence, and that means human intelligence from our sources inside Iran and those of our allies. Overhead reconnaissance. We've been conducting surveillance of these sites for quite some time, and the intelligence reporting would be presented to the president, and that would give the president an idea about where the centrifuges are. We're interested in centrifuges, nuclear highly enriched uranium, as well as where Iran scientists are. Obviously, that's all critical for us. And then the president would be looking at options, military options. Can we bomb our way in and destroy those sites, or would it require some boots on the ground? I can tell you that both of those are risky. The options are either negotiate an end to Iran's nuclear program, and we're not there, or conduct kinetic strikes. If we were to conduct any strikes on the ground, we would need a safe air corridor above ground and a safe perimeter on the ground. There's no element of surprise here. That's a great challenge. Iran would know we're coming, and presumably they've got a plan to defend that site with booby-trapped explosives, among other things. So this would be highly risky.
Highly risky. So let's read some of the clues we're sort of seeing here, because the recent strikes that Iran launched with some of their most sophisticated ballistic missiles that we've seen so far, hitting places like Muwafaq Air Base in Jordan, killing our service members, hitting Prince Sultan's Air Base in Saudi Arabia, that is likely directly correlated to the U.S. buildup in the region. Add to that, Iran's new leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, in the New York Times apparently, is saying that he is now open to pursuing a nuclear weapon. The New York Times writing, Ali Khamenei had issued a religious order, or fatwa, prohibiting the use of nuclear weapons by Iran, a stance publicly announced to the International Atomic Energy Agency in 2005. The fatwa had its limits. It did not block the government from taking steps towards weaponization. American intelligence officials assessed Mojtaba Khamenei, the son, did not share his father's hesitancy and was interested in pursuing an advanced nuclear weapon. Add those up. Where does it get us, Dan?
Well, listen, I read that story as well, but I think it's less of a change than we might believe, because, look, Iran had been enriching their uranium to 60% for quite some time. You don't do that unless you want to pursue a nuclear weapons program. And that was part of the reason why we bombed those Iranian sites in the 12-day war last year, and why President Trump deployed U.S. military assets to the region this year to try to induce Iran to negotiate in good faith, which they refused to do. Now, we have really degraded Iran's military capacity. However, their ballistic missiles and drones are dispersed throughout the country, and the arsenal, some element, some residual element of those arsenals remain, which enables them to strike our assets in the region and present some challenges for us if indeed we were to conduct on-the-ground operations. I think for the Trump administration, there are other ways to get at Iran's nuclear program, including further kinetic strikes, decapitation strikes of Iran's leadership. If this iteration of Iran's leadership doesn't want to negotiate, perhaps the next one will. And I'm quite sure the president and his security team huddling and considering all of these options in advance of Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit next week.
Well, that's right. And if you talk about decapitation, you're looking at Ahmad Vahidi, who is the IRGC commander, was the guy in charge of the Quds Force under Mojtaba Khamenei's father, now running things and clearly striking our service members and bases in the Gulf region. Dan Hoffman, as always, great insight. Thank you for taking time.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.